Jesus, Yeshua, he refers to himself as the Son of Man.
Praise Yah. This is teaching for women. So you are 100% right. Yeshua is not Jehovah. Yeshua is the Son of God. The Trinity is completely false, 100%. But Yeshua also warned that you would receive another who would come in his own name. And that's Jesus. In John 5:42 and 43, he says, I know you don't have the love of God in you. That is an idiom for I know you don't keep the commandments of God. 1 John 5 verse 3. For this is the love of God, to keep the commandments, and they're not grievous. He says, I know you don't keep the commandments of God. I came in my Father's name. The Father's name is Jehovah. The Son's name is Yeshua or Yahushua, which is Jehovah's salvation. Yeshua's Yah salvation. Or Joshua in English. From the Greek to the English is Joshua. Zechariah 3, Revelations 5. High priest Joshua with filthy garments. That is our Messiah. And he warned the people they would receive another Messiah would come in a different name. Because they don't have the love of God and they don't keep the commandments of God, they're going to receive the one who came in his own name. Jesus Horish Krishna. Jesus H. Christ. A transliterated, corrupted name that Constantine created. Jesus Horish Krishna, after 3 Greek gods. The father isn't Zeus. They covered it up with the transliteration of the name, saying that they didn't have certain letters, so they had to replace the letters. And it came out feminine, so then they completely changed the ending, removed letters and completely changed the ending of his name to Zeus, after Zeus. Jesus. Jesus. There is so much prophecy that the pastors in the latter days, after the falling away of the church in 2 Thessalonians 2, the many antichrists that would come after the Messiah in Matthew 24, he warns you about, that would deceive the world, right? The whole world will be deceived except for a remnant. There's 46,000 different denominations stemming off of the Roman Catholic Church. All have their own personal Jesus. There's 46,000 different Jesuses. The many antichrists that would come after Yeshua to deceive many with lying signs and wonders. Casting out Beelzebub in the name of Beelzebub. For the Son of God, Yeshua, in Luke 11, casted out demons with the finger of God. The finger of God wrote the 10 Commandments. Yeshua was prophesied to give them the law, the covenants, the holy covenants at Horeb in Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy 5, the 10 Commandments.
Mom?
Jesus didn't give the covenants at Horeb because Christians say he nailed the covenant, the 10 Commandments, along with the sacrificial law to the stake. They deny that Deuteronomy 18 prophet that people would have to hearken, listen, and obey, hearken onto, that would give them everything desired at Horeb, the 10 Commandments in Deuteronomy 5. That Jehovah would speak through and give us commands that he would require of us to love God, love neighbor. Deuteronomy 6, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. Keep the commandments in your heart. Teach them to your children. And if you do them, in verse 25, it will be your righteousness. And Leviticus 19, 15 through 18, to love your neighbor as yourself. to do righteous judgment, judge by the righteousness of God. In Psalms 119, 172, for all his commandments are righteousness, judge by the 10 commandments. Rebuke your neighbor when they sin, so they don't suffer sin upon them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Isaiah the prophet in Isaiah 42, 21. The Lord was well pleased for his righteousness' sake. The 10 commandments, he would magnify the law and make it honorable. Magnifying 2 laws in the Torah. The commandments that Jehovah spoke through him that he would require of you. The Christians did not receive that Messiah. They received the man of perdition, of lawlessness, Jesus. They've turned the grace of God in Jude 1 into lasciviousness, unmerited favor. When Titus 2, the grace of God that came by Yeshua Messiah has appeared to all men, a free gift. You didn't have to earn it, so you cannot boast because it's been given to every single man, believing and non-believing, man, woman, child, atheist, and believing. So they have a chance to be saved because it teaches them to deny ungodliness, sin, and worldly lust so they can keep the righteousness of God. So they can live soberly and righteously, keeping the righteousness of God in this present world. That's not their Jesus. No, that's the one that came in his own name. Jeremiah 23, an end time prophecy. It talks about a second Exodus that will be so much greater that they won't even mention the first Exodus when Jehovah brought them out of Egypt, in the land out of Egypt, into the wilderness. They're not going to even mention that anymore. End time prophecy, it says, in the latter days you'll consider it perfectly well, right? The latter days. These pastors are lying to the people, prophesying in the name Baal. What name are the pastors preaching in? Jesus. Romans 10. Their ignorance of Jehovah's righteousness, the 10 commandments, and they've established their own righteousness. Breaking Jehovah's commandments by their traditions and commandments of men, what Yeshua rebuked the Pharisees for in Matthew 15 and Mark 7. Flattering Jehovah with their mouth, but their heart is far from him. In Romans 10 it says, how will they believe on him who they have not heard? Because Jeremiah 23 pastors prophesying in the name Baal causes people to forget Jehovah's name. For the name Baal, teaching burden of the Lord, the commandments are burdensome, they're impossible to keep. They say his commandments are grievous. 1 John 5 verse 3, for this is the love of God, to keep his commandments. They're not grievous, they're not burdensome. How will they hear on him who they have not heard? Yeshua writes, or Joshua in Zechariah 3 and Revelations 5, his actual English name. How will they hear without a preacher? Because all the pastors and preachers are liars, wolves in sheep's clothing, scattering his flock, prophesying in the name Baal. And how will they hear unless they be sent? His watchman, he rises up in the latter days to preach the good tidings of good things, the refreshing of the covenant in Acts 3, 18 through 36, and Deuteronomy 18, 15 through 19. The refreshing of the covenants at Horeb, the 10 commandments. How beautiful are the feet of them who preach the good tidings of good things, quoting Isaiah 52, and his people will know his name. And his people will be publishing salvation in the Strongs. That's Yeshua. Revelations 19, the servants of God that have the testimony of the Son. The testimony is prophecy. And Revelations 14, who have the Father's name written on their foreheads, Jehovah, who keep the commandments of God.